If you just got to Chapter 3, there's a good chance you're missing out on some of the best opportunities in the entire game. And I'm not just talking about money, okay? I'm talking about missable missions, unique items, secret dialogues, and even one of the best horses Arthur can get throughout the whole campaign, the Dark Bay Turkman, which costs nearly $1,000 and only unlocks during the epilogue. The problem is the game doesn't warn you about any of this, and by the time you realize you missed something, it's usually too late. Because all these mistakes are fatal. They make you lose missions, unique items, and opportunities that never come back on that save. I actually made almost every one of these mistakes in my first playthroughs, some of them even after more than 1,000 hours of gameplay. But after playing multiple times and figuring out everything Chapter 3 hides, I started seeing this part of the campaign in a completely different way, and today I'm going to show you exactly which mistakes to avoid to get the most out of the gang's stay in Clemens Point. I'll even teach you a crazy method that can earn you thousands of dollars in just a few minutes, using that same rare and practically forbidden horse for Arthur. And I'm gonna start this video talking about a mistake that pretty much everyone makes in Chapter 3, ignoring the gang's optional missions thinking you'll have time to do them later. The problem is they disappear forever when the chapter ends, and when I say forever, I really mean forever. That's why the first mistake you can't make in Chapter 3 is letting these missions pile up on the map. The first one is the robbery with Sean Maguire. In it, we visit a cabin full of criminals, make some good money, and even unlock the infamous double-action revolver, one of the most versatile sidearms in the entire game. But that's far from the only special activity this chapter has, because we can also go fishing with Javier Esquela, and if you've got the right bait, you can even catch a legendary fish during the activity. But this isn't the only fishing mission you can miss. Chapter 3 also lets us go fishing with Kieran Duffy, the gang's most lovable ex-O'Driscoll. Besides giving you a shot at catching a legendary fish, this mission hides a scene that's as weird as it is unforgettable, because during the fishing trip you can spot, believe it or not, a completely naked man swimming in the lake. Over at Clemens Point, we've got two special activities right inside the camp. The first is a game of dominoes with Tilly, where you spend some time chatting with Miss Jackson and get to know her a bit better. The second is the knife game with Micah Bell, where you have to deal with the frustration of not being able to grab the knife and solve a bunch of the gang's problems all at once. But hold on, there's more. After the mission Bare Knuckle Friendships, you also unlock two missable stagecoach robberies, one with Bill Williamson and the other with Sean Maguire. Both bring in good money for Arthur and the gang, and of course reveal some unknown stories about the characters' pasts. And to wrap it up, there are still two side mission lines that a lot of people overlook without even realizing it. The first one is Money Lending and Other Sins, Part 4, where we collect debts from the gravedigger Gwyn Hughes in Rhodes and the hunter Winton Holmes around Strawberry. The second is the excellent mission line The Course of True Love, involving Beau and Penelope Braithwaite. If you progress through the story without completing these missions, you'll miss the entire sequence, including an extra mission available only in Chapter 6. So here's a simple rule to follow during Chapter 3. Whenever you see a mission with a white background on the map, treat it as top priority, because most of the time that means it can disappear forever. And since we're talking about things players tend to miss in this chapter, it's time to talk about a rare item that many lose without even knowing it existed, and all of this happens during the mission Magicians for Sport. A very common mistake in Chapter 3 is finishing this mission without grabbing one of the rarest items in the entire game. I'm talking about the rare rolling block rifle, an exclusive version of the weapon that can only be obtained during this mission. In other words, if you miss it, you lose it forever on that save. So pay close attention here. The mission starts with Arthur and Charles investigating the whereabouts of Josiah Trelawney, who mysteriously disappeared from your caravan. Eventually, the duo finds out he was captured by some bounty hunters, and this is exactly where a little known detail most players never see comes into play. When Arthur and Charles find two of these bounty hunters, usually a fight breaks out and the mission continues as usual. But there's a secret possibility the game never mentions. If you kill one of the hunters before the cutscene starts, the mission doesn't fail. Actually, the opposite happens. You unlock an alternate cutscene showing a much darker and more intimidating side of Arthur Morgan. Check it out.
No, wait. Now, where were we? Where's my friend, buddy? Come on, speak. Hey! No, he's in a cabin down by Braithwaite Manor near the cornfield. Thank you.
After that, we head to the Braithwaite plantations looking for Trelawney, and it's right there that a lot of players make the biggest mistake in this mission, because inside the big barn on the property, there's a unique weapon waiting to be picked up, the rare rolling block rifle. It's marked with a golden icon on the map, but even so, many people just walk right past it and finish the mission without noticing. So as soon as you enter the barn, grab the weapon immediately, because after this mission it's gone forever. And now that I've shown you a rare weapon that a lot of players miss in Chapter 3, I'm going to share two amazing tips that most players completely overlook in this same chapter. I'm gonna share 2 killer tips that can make you a lot of money during Chapter 3, and it happens during the mission, American Distillation. You probably remember that mission since right after it, Arthur becomes an honorary sheriff of Rhodes. A lot of people go through this part of the story thinking the town has turned into some kind of neutral zone. After all, during this chapter we can't use weapons inside town, which makes many assume any illegal activity is off the table. But that's where the mistake is, because the game doesn't actually stop Arthur from committing crimes, it just stops him from using weapons. And understanding that difference can earn you big cash, especially since during this chapter we're basically immune inside Rhodes. The first opportunity is with the horses parked around town. Not many notice this, but we can steal all the saddlebags from Rhodes' horses without worrying about a bounty on our head. Of course, your honor will drop faster than Dutch's sanity in Chapter 4, but in return you get a good haul of health tonics, jewelry, and even some gold nuggets. Just watch out for the kicks, okay? Because horses don't care if you're a sheriff or not. But this isn't the only way to make some cash. The second opportunity is hidden inside the famous illegal activity at Rhodes' gunsmith. There we find out that the shop owner keeps a man locked up in the basement. Usually, most players just rush in, grab the Lancaster rifle, and get out as fast as possible to avoid heat from the law. But while Arthur is serving as sheriff, we can do something that a lot of people never noticed. After grabbing the rifle, you can keep looting the shop, picking up ammo and other items, including the cash register, without worrying about a bounty. So not only do you get one of the best rifles in the game for free, but you can also walk out with a ridiculous amount of supplies. So if you played Chapter 3 thinking Rhodes was a town where you couldn't do a single thing, know that this was one of the most profitable mistakes you could make. Now I want to talk about another mistake players often make in Rhodes, but this time it's not about money. It involves a secret, unmissable dialogue that most people have never heard. This mistake happens during the mission Further Questions of Female Suffrage. In it, Pearson and Sadie are almost coming to blows at the camp, so Arthur decides to take Sadie to Rhodes to buy some supplies while he delivers some letters at the station. And here something curious happens. Most players do exactly what the mission expects them to do. They get off the carriage, ignore Sadie, and head straight to the station. But if you break the mission script and decide to follow Sadie around town, you'll discover a hidden dialogue that most players have never heard.
How can I help you, miss?
It's Mrs. So I need potatoes, carrots, onions, flour, oats, salt, eggs, apples if you got them.
Sure, not a problem. Big family, have you?
Something like that. And you sell clothes?
We do. Not the widest range of ladies' fashion, I'm afraid.
That's all right. I'll look at everything you got.
Of course, Mrs.
Kilgore. What? You don't even trust me to handle the shopping by myself? Don't worry about me, Mr. Kilgore. You go get your mail.
And as always, Rockstar thought of everything, but what's really impressive is that the curiosity doesn't end there, because besides the supplies for the camp, Sadie also buys some new clothes during the visit. And if you go back to the store after the mission, you'll get to hear the shopkeeper's brutally honest opinion about her new look.
How's your friend getting on with those new clothes? Not something a lady should be wearing, in my opinion, but each to their own, I suppose.
I'd be very surprised if you had a lady, my friend.
Well, not right now, but I've had my share. Anyway.
I don't know about you, but I think that shopkeeper could have gone to bed without hearing Arthur's answer, and since we're talking about secret dialogues that most players totally miss, I'm gonna bring up an even better one in Chapter 3, because besides unlocking an alternate conversation, it can also earn you a good amount of money. It happens during the missions The Course of True Love. This is a very common mistake in Chapter 3, completing this missable mission without exploring all the hidden possibilities it offers. And that's a shame, because this mission hides some of the most interesting details in the entire chapter. It all starts when Arthur meets Beau Gray at Caliga Hall Mansion and gets tasked with delivering a letter and a gift to Penelope Braithwaite. Even before we head to the mansion, there's a little detail almost nobody knows about. When you get close to Beau, you can see he's holding a notebook, and if you use photo mode or some free camera mod to take a closer look at the pages, you'll find out he actually drew Penelope right there in the notebook. It's a tiny detail, but at the same time it says a lot about how head over heels the guy is. And seriously man, I love when Rockstar takes the time to add these kinds of Easter eggs that most players will never notice. But this isn't the biggest secret in the mission, okay? Actually, that secret is inside Arthur's own inventory, because on the way to the Braithwaite mansion, you can open the gift Beau plans to give Penelope. And when you do that, you discover it's a gold bracelet. But here's where one of the funniest mistakes you can avoid in Chapter 3 comes in, because the game never tells you this. But it's possible to detour from the path to the mansion, visit a fence, and sell the gift for $20. And the craziest part is the mission doesn't fail. That's super rare for an item directly tied to a mission. Besides the $20, this mission also unlocks an alternate dialogue at the end. I'll let both versions play for you to compare, first selling and then delivering the bracelet.
Are you Penelope Braithwaite?
Why, yes, I am.
I have a letter for you.
A letter?
It's not from me, it's from
From Beau. Oh, well, was there a gift? He usually sends a little something.
No gift, just a letter.
Okay. Oh, he's so...
Strange. Are you Penelope Braithwaite?
Why, yes, I am.
I've got a letter for you.
Oh.
And a gift.
A letter and a gift. Well, we don't even know each other.
Well, it's not from me, it's from
From Beau. Oh, he is so...
Strange.
I always crack up when Arthur just straight up admits he doesn't have a present, only a letter. But hold on, there's still one more thing hidden that almost everyone misses. To finish the mission, we need to escape the Braithwaite mansion without being seen, but before you run off, head straight to the small marina on the property. There you can find some pretty cool items, including the famous naval compass that Pearson can ask Arthur for back at the camp. So grab the compass, steal one of the boats from the dock, and use it to make your getaway down the river. And seriously, I wish I had known that tip the first time I played, no joke. But as good as that compass is, it doesn't even come close to the next mistake players make in Chapter 3, because the next mission can give you early access to one of the best horses in the entire game, and on top of that, it unlocks a glitch that can earn you thousands of dollars in just a few minutes. And all of this revolves around one of the best missions in the campaign, horse flesh for dinner. If there's one mistake I regret making for years in Chapter 3, it's not knowing this method exists. Because this mission hides one of the best horses Arthur can get throughout the entire campaign. And the crazy part is, he shouldn't even have access to it, since it's only unlocked at the Blackwater stable. It all starts when Tavish Grey asks the gang to steal the prize horses from the Braithwaite family. Answering the call, the gang heads to the property and finds the animals in the stable. There we find 2 Arabian thoroughbreds, one white and one black. But the real prize is the third horse, a dark bay Turkman. And here's where most players mess up, because a lot of people finish the mission without knowing that this is one of the most valuable horses in the whole game, so much so that it's usually only available for John to buy in Blackwater during the epilogue. In other words, in theory, it's a horse off limits to Arthur, but there's a way to break this rule, and it happens right during this mission. After fleeing the Braithwaite mansion under that hail of bullets, proceed normally to the meeting point with the smugglers, but stop a few meters before reaching the destination. Dismount, go to the Turkman, and start feeding him repeatedly using the radial menu. And when I say repeatedly, I really mean repeatedly. In some cases, this can take several minutes. In fact, this is why a lot of people believe the glitch was fixed. But it wasn't, okay? You just need a lot of patience. Eventually, a message will pop up saying you've reached the first level of bonding with the horse, and that's exactly what confirms the method worked. After that, finish the mission as usual. When the cutscene ends, Arthur will reappear at the camp. But if you open the map and head back to the smugglers, you'll notice the Turkman is still there waiting for you. So just transfer the saddle to him and enjoy your new horse. Because from this point on, you'll have one of the fastest, bravest, and rarest mounts in the whole game. A horse Arthur was never supposed to be able to ride. And if you want to know how to get other horses from this mission, like the Arab ones for example, I'll leave a link to my video with the Ultimate Horse Guide. There I teach how to get pretty much all the Arab variants for free throughout the campaign. But now comes the really crazy part, because the mistake most players make isn't just letting the Turkman go, it's not realizing that this horse can be used to make thousands of dollars through a super simple glitch. I myself made over $5,000 using this method, and now I'm going to show you how with the famous horse smuggler glitch. After the mission Horse Flesh for Dinner, we finally unlock the horse smugglers. From that point on, we can sell animals to the Davies brothers for some cash. But the problem is almost nobody uses this system. And honestly, I don't blame anyone, because the amounts paid are usually ridiculous. It would take dozens of trips to make a few $100s. But there's one exception, and it completely changes how useful the smugglers are. All we need to do is start any mission where Arthur leads the ride to the objective. In this video example, I chose the mission Bare Knuckle Friendships with Trelawney, and since we're leading the way, we can just take a detour to the smugglers. Once there, sell the Turkman, but don't worry, okay? Because you're not going to lose the horse. For some completely crazy reason, the game makes the horse respawn right next to Arthur a few seconds after the sale, probably because Rockstar didn't want to risk messing up the mission script, and this is exactly what creates the glitch, because we can sell the same horse over and over again. In this example, I'm using the Turkman horse, but the method works with other valuable breeds too. There's just one really important thing. Before selling any horse, raise its bond level to 4. This boosts the price the smugglers pay a lot and makes the profit skyrocket. It took me quite a while to figure this out myself. I only learned it after checking the Red Dead 2 guide. And here's one last note. This glitch works in any chapter after the smugglers are unlocked, but chapter 3 is still the best time to use it because almost all the missions happen just a few steps from the brothers, which saves an insane amount of time. And since I just mentioned the mission Bare Knuckle Friendships, I'll take the chance to talk about a secret possibility that's as weird as it is funny, because this is the only mission in the whole game where Arthur can wear a type of hat he should never have access to. It happens during the mission Bare Knuckle Friendships with Josiah Trelawney. I don't know why, but even though it's a pretty simple mission, it's always been one of my favorites. Maybe because it's one of the funniest missions in the whole campaign. In it, Arthur and Trelawney have to kidnap an aspiring opera singer named Chester Damson, and the best part is she's a terrible singer, but apparently no one ever had the guts to tell her that. During the mission, you can even hear a little sample of her talent when Trelawney pretends to be a talent scout. While Trelawney and the guard are put through a real auditory torture, Arthur can sneak behind the carriage and steal the trunk without being noticed. But here lies another mistake many players make, because most follow exactly the plan the mission suggests. Yet nothing stops us from ditching stealth entirely and solving the problem the most Arthur Morgan way possible. That is, shooting everyone, including the singer herself. And the weirdest part is that it doesn't fail the mission. Actually, this choice unlocks a variation in the final cutscene. I'll let both versions play so you can compare.
Well, that didn't go exactly according to plan. How did we do?
Well, aside from all the shooting and getting shot at, we did fine. Here.
Thank you. Well, now, go see Alden from time to time.
Let's hope it goes a little smoother next time.
We always hope that, Arthur. See you soon. Well done, sir. Well
It
done.
was easy. You did all the work.
Teamwork, my dear boy. Teamwork.
Here you go.
Thank you. Oh, jolly good. Go see Alden from time to time. See you soon, Arthur.
And as you could see, Rockstar thought of everything, but the curiosity doesn't end there, because by taking out the singer, we can also grab and wear her hat, which is super weird. After all, the game usually prevents Arthur from using women's hats, but for some reason, Chester's hat works just fine. And maybe the explanation is hidden somewhere in the game files, because when analyzing the character, we found out that Chester Damson is internally classified as a male NPC, which probably makes the game treat her hat as a male accessory too, completely bypassing the restriction that applies to other female hats. I don't know about you, but I think Arthur looks surprisingly stylish rocking that. Unfortunately though, the fun only lasts a few minutes because we can't store that hat, but since we're talking about unique items, missable content, and stuff most players overlook, it's time to talk about what might be the biggest mistake anyone can make during all of Chapter 3, and it happens during the mission Blood Feuds Ancient and Modern. If there's one mission that perfectly sums up the whole idea of this video, it's this one, seriously, because it's packed with secret items, hidden documents, and missable content that most players simply never find. And the craziest part is that even after thousands of hours playing, I still discovered new things while researching this script. As soon as we enter the mansion, the first item a lot of people overlook is above the fireplace in the first room on the left. There we find the famous Braithwaite family crest, an extremely rare heraldic shield that basically works as a trophy from that night. Despite looking valuable, it can't be sold to any fence, turning the item into a permanent keepsake of the family's downfall. But oddly enough, this wasn't even the biggest mistake I made in this mission, because there's another item hidden inside the mansion that I missed in absolutely every single one of my playthroughs, even after more than 2,000 hours playing. I'm talking about Catherine's letter to Angelo Bronte. You can find it on a nightstand near the fireplace where we picked up the crest. And even though it has no monetary value, it delivers a ton of context for the story's events. Remember all the chaos around the moonshine? The gang's actions caused delays in the deliveries meant for Bronte, which led to huge losses for the mobster, making him furious and threatening to cut ties with the family. In the letter, Catherine tries to convince him not to end the relationship, reminding him that their families have worked together for years and that this supply failure was just a one-time thing. Among other things, this letter is amazing because it helps explain why Bronte accepted to meet Jack, and maybe also why he never showed any real interest in helping the gang. On the contrary, he might have already been setting the stage to manipulate Dutch from that moment on as revenge for ruining his moonshine business. But the coolest part is that the secrets of this mission don't end when the mansion goes up in flames. Actually, they keep going after the chapter flips because when we come back to the place, the property is totally destroyed. And it's right among the rubble that we can find another missable item, Catherine Braithwaite's brooch. You can loot it straight from the charred body of the matriarch. And unlike the crest, this item can be sold to any fence. But honestly, I always keep it as a keepsake, mainly because there's something way more valuable right next to it. A gold bar. And that one's definitely worth the trip, alright? Because it can be sold for about 500 bucks. So my recommendation is simple. Sell the bar, but keep the brooch. And before wrapping up, here's a tip that a lot of people don't know. All the gold bars scattered across the map respawn during the epilogue. So you can grab this mansion's bar with Arthur, and years later come back to the same spot with John to collect it again, which, let's be honest, is an awesome way to make some serious cash. And if you're on your first playthrough or planning to start a new campaign, I highly recommend checking out my beginner tips playlist. In it, I've gathered pretty much everything I wish I knew when I first started playing Red Dead Redemption 2. There are rare weapons, insanely powerful gear, dozens of secret items, and several missions with choices and missable content that can make a huge difference in your playthrough. That way you avoid making the mistakes I showed in this video and enjoy the game to the fullest. And since we talked about the Turkman and other rare horses throughout this video, I put together my ultimate guide to the best horses in Red Dead Redemption 2. In it, I show you which are the 4 best horses in the game, where to find each one, how to get them completely free, and why they stand out above the rest. I'm sure this will be the next step to making your campaign practically perfect. Just click right here next to the yellow arrow to watch the video. But first, a huge thanks to the channel members for all the support. I'll see you in a few minutes in the next video. Big hugs and see you later. Bye.